Welcome back. The Transformation Alliance will be one of the new kids on the block to be on the ballot paper in next year's national elections. Earlier this week, party leader Abel Tau announced the milestone reached by the political party, which was born in June this year. Tau now joins us for more on the vision he has for his party going into next year's elections. Mr. Tau, thank you so much for joining us here on the late edition. Of course, your party is one of the new kid on the block. When it comes to this milestone which you have reached and have been given the green light to contest in next year's elections, what does it mean for you and your newly formed party?
Thank you very much, Mbali, and good evening to viewers at home. Look, it is exciting times. I think more than anything, for us as the Transformation Alliance, it means that we are one of those that should be able to really help steer South Africa in the right direction. I think it has been adequately established that the country is not going where it's supposed to be. I think residents in Guyana are sitting without water for the longest of time when billions have been spent into trying to get them water. The same is true in Hammanskraal. We've seen municipalities fail. The list is endless. Load shedding, you can go on and on. Unemployment, crime, and all of those challenges that are there. And therefore, for us, being able to reach a milestone where we find ourselves being given by the IEC that we can contest next year means South Africans have an option to also have a political party that can honestly work towards making sure that their aspirations are met. And for us, this is a huge, huge responsibility placed on us and a privilege. And we want to thank our supporters, members, and everyone who really worked with us to make sure that we reach this milestone. It's never an easy feat going to town hall meetings and really convincing South Africans to really give us their signature to be one of those parties that can obviously represent them in the national and provincial election. It really feels good to finally get the nod.
And Abel, how ready are you, to contest next year's elections? I mean, one would say that we're just a couple of months away from the 2024 elections. Are you ready to go up against so many political parties? Of course, we know that there will be so many of these political parties going into the 2024 elections.
But we as ready can be. Obviously, one can never say they feel confident that they are overly ready, but we are ready. We have got structures in most communities where we will be contesting. We are contesting nationally and we are contesting 4 provinces as things stand, and we are looking at 2 other provinces that we are finalizing our readiness and our ability to test ourselves if we can contest them. Now, we believe that we are ready in the provinces, especially in Gauteng, in Limpopo, in Mpumalanga, and in the northwest. We believe that with the structures that we have on the ground, we should be able to do well. I think that's the only time you test your readiness is when you know that you've got structures in PDs where you can have election staff as a party. And more than anything, we also have people who have been supporting us, joining us. And when we look at our membership and we look at the kind of quality of leaders that we have absolute confidence that we are going to surprise many come this election.
And Abel, when it comes to you contesting next year's elections, you're saying that you're going to be contesting, in 4 provinces. How did you, whittle it down to at least 4 provinces? Why not go on a national scale and try and, have representation throughout the country?
Look, Bali, it's always a number of factors that lead you to deciding as to where. Number one, the time factor. We believe that looking at the time, our competitors have had at least 5 years to prepare for this election, or 3 years after they've tested themselves in 2021 in the provincial, in the local government election, and therefore we've not had the privilege to be able to find our foot first, and therefore you don't want to have a very big test sample. I think you want to really test your mettle in areas where you are very strong, where you have been able to communicate your value proposition with people. I think South Africans want to know what is it that we can do for them and what is it that we promise or commit to be doing. And therefore, it becomes very important that you don't want to stretch yourself into areas where you wouldn't be able to reach. Among some of those things that need to be done is the ability for me as the party leader to communicate our value proposition to South Africans in person in a number of communities and in as many communities as I can. And therefore, we've looked at the inland provinces and realized that it is the best place where we can really place our value proposition to our people and say, this is what we believe we can do, and actually not just make promises, but commitments that people can actually measure us on and know that we can make good on those commitments. And that is why we find ourselves in a space where we've chosen the provinces that we have chosen. But more than anything, we believe that we are ready.
And what will you be offering South Africans, and why should they vote for you come the 2024 elections?
I think young people have spoken, very strongly to us as South Africans and as leaders to say they don't believe that there's anything for them. And therefore, we really need to build a country that will allow young people to reach their full potential from every level. I think our education system is one which does not prepare our kids for the kind of jobs of the future. And South African youth is saying to us, go out there and really, when we give you the nod to go and lead us as leaders as our leaders in Parliament, make sure that you turn things around for us. So that's what we are promising. But South Africa is facing a number of crises, and one of those is the issue of joblessness, which you can put squarely on the failure of government and failure of good governance. I mean, corruption, we can say whatever we want, but there's no seriousness in tackling corruption. And I've always said in a number of fora where I've spoken to say during the World Cup in 2010, we were able to set up special courts that expedited crimes during the time and made sure that they were processed as quickly and expeditiously as we possibly could. When we have a pandemic like we have of corruption, it means that that emergency needs to be treated as such. And therefore, we need to make sure that we put such interventions in place to make sure that we process those who are found to have done wrong to the nation, because corruption is not a victimless crime. And for as long as people don't see action when it comes to crime and corruption, we are always going to be tested with others trying their luck. So those are some of the areas that we really need to go in there and start early and start quickly. But we need quick interventions. South Africans are starving, more people are falling below the breadline, and therefore the situation is actually an emergency. And we need a government in 2024 and beyond that would understand that it has to respond to the emergency that is South Africa now, as we build long-term solutions.
Yeah.
But really, there are long-hanging, combating crime and violent crime in particular as a country would be one of those that we go hard on as a nation, and we should go hard on as a nation.
And Abel, lastly, I'm sure those of your supporters would like to know, when can we expect your manifesto launch?
Look, our manifesto launch, we are looking at the second week of January. We'll definitely be going out to launch our manifesto. We really have a comprehensive plan to save our country and to turn our country around. We are looking forward to talking to as many South Africans as we can on the promises that we will be making to them. But those commitments are some that we believe that going into an era of coalitions is one where there would be definitely non-negotiables, which we believe should be the reason why South Africans should give us an opportunity to lead them as the Transformation Alliance.
Abel, thank you so much for your time.